It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Lunchtime on a Monday, which means it's time for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Cass, and Gage back with you once again. Brought to you by CoolBet on the Nielsen Media CoolBet Network. If you want to be betting on the next game in the Stanley Cup Final, you can go do that right now over with our partners at CoolBet. Use the code 2GUYS when you sign up. Number 2 and the word guys. Lots to discuss today, boys, including Gager being so good at selling hot dogs that they sold out at Commonwealth. Gager, congratulations on all of your wiener success, buddy.
Well, Dusty, it was an amazing feat to feed that many people. Like I was wrapping them like crazy. I ran out of soft buns to put the Colossal's wieners into. Like it was just all we had left was absolutely nothing. I usually the Elks games, they're not as busy as the whatever the country concert I was at the time for. That was nuts. But this, I couldn't. Usually there's a break, even maybe there's a little bit of a rush at halftime and you get some more stuff out there, but it was gone. Like everything I would put out there was gone within seconds. The lineups never ended. I don't know, maybe it's a credit to your show, Dusty. A lot of people went to go see that game and wanted that football stadium experience of food.
That's good. That's good. What I find the best part about this is that you're not even volunteering anymore. You just picked up a part-time job at Commonwealth, which I really respect that extra side hustle, Gage. Like,
I'm part of the people. I feel a duty to feed the people. It's just one of my other jobs that I do now, Dusty. It's funny now because I'm starting to recognize people in there and say hi to them. And, hey, Gager, how's it going? Yeah, not bad, you.
Cass, you watched the game at home with your kids, and were you yelling at the TV when they couldn't punch it in from the one?
I was close. I held my tongue because they were there, but man, I don't play calling. I was not happy with the play calling. I wasn't happy with the set. I was like, I thought they were going to win the game. I'm like, they're going to get this. The D's been playing pretty well today. They're going to finally punch it in, and we're going to celebrate. They're finally going to win a game at home. And I wasn't a huge fan of the play calling. So I didn't like it. Was very upset, but I held my tongue in front of the kids. So, at least that part was okay.
Sucky thing. That's because I dart out to see the score. And I remember going out at like 4 minutes left in the third, and we were up. I was like, cool. Oh, it's going to end. And then as soon as I went back in, I heard big cheers, and I go, ooh, that doesn't. It's happy cheers, but I don't think that's for the right side. And then I asked some people, we lost. I was like, oh my God, all that work of slinging meat for nothing, Dusty.
I just can't believe that you sit back there slinging meat. You have no idea what's going on in the game. Like, what a commitment, Gager. What a commitment to this city's love of the hot dog. I think that's huge, buddy. That's absolutely very, very impressive. One of the things coming out of last night's game I wanted to hit on in this episode, and that was on our broadcast. Trevor Harris allowed Rashog to pick his own nickname type of thing, and he went with Glue Guy, which is a whole nother episode if we wanted. But Cass, where do you come out on letting people choose their own nickname? This is usually a no-go, isn't it?
Usually it's a no-go. I get what he was trying to do, though, just from a camaraderie standpoint and a team standpoint. So good for him. I mean, I think it's a funny idea, a great idea. Like, and to give 15 seconds to do it, because, it's not like you have time to sit and think, like, I'm going to make this cool. It's like, no, you have to come up with something on the spot, which I think was pretty awesome. But I mean, I'm more of a fan of just letting nicknames happen naturally. I had like dozens of them, probably close to at least.
Did you have, I wanted to ask you guys about this. Did you have any like creative nicknames, or was it always Cass, that type of thing?
I had a whole
Did you?
swap.
Give us one. There's got to be one. Like,
man, I was Sam for a while.
Why?
Because it was Cass, then it turned to Sass, then it turned to Sasquatch, then it turned to Sam Squanch, then it turned to Sam.
Okay, that makes sense, right? It's just a story.
That was the evolution of it. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, it became evolution of Cass to Sam Squanch to Sam. Yeah, for a little bit. So
Sam Squanch is a good one. I like that one.
I had a lot. I was Bizo for a while.
Bizo.
Yeah, because one of the guys, because I got a pretty big head, like so buffalo head, right?
Okay.
So bison. And actually, I probably need to talk to him about this. I haven't ever. After a fight, and it ended up being against Luke Gazdick, so former Oiler, Dallas Star. We fought each other a ton of times, probably more than anyone else we fought. Like we just kind of, we fought a lot. But I can't remember what the bet. Someone bet me like $40 I wouldn't do bison horns and paw the ground after a fight, like on ice in the game.
You did?
Oh, I 100% did. Absolutely, I did that. I turned back towards own bench and went like this. It was pawed the ice with my skate. I think Gazdick was pretty upset with me, but it had nothing to do with him. It was like I want $40. But bison was a good one. Yeah.
Man, I wish, was that in the American League, that fight?
Yeah, it was in the American
I was going
League.
to say,
Yeah.
I'd love to get video of you going like this and pawing the ice
Yeah.
after a fight. God, I like Bizo. That's a good one. Gager, what about you? You've just always been Gager or like Walker? Like, was there anything?
Yeah, like walk from my first stint with the Oilers. Like if I run into Mac T or Kevin Lowe, they'll say, "Hey, Walk, how's it going?" All the old coaching staff. But then it morphed into the EY or Y or IE at the end of your last name, and that was basically it. So
Nobody called you Gagey, did they? Was it Gagey? Gager sounds so much better than Gagey.
Yeah. Well, depending on what I was doing, I guess it was how they referred to me. But
yeah,
a lot of times it was Civ too.
You guys want to know? You want to know my best one, the best, and this is one. So I don't know if I've ever. This is going to be a revelation. Not very many people know about this one. I've never talked about it publicly. My wife knows about it. What's funny is the guys in the dressing room actually made up T-shirts with this on it. This is bad. So I would say I was an early adopter of online dating way back before I met my wife. I was an early adopter, and so
like plenty of fish type of thing.
Yeah. So I had met we'll get there.
Okay.
So I had used it and met a girl, and she ended up being
a man.
I got some stories that I'm not going to share on here, but it was not ultimately a good situation. However, because of it not being a good situation, clearly my teammates knew about it and found about it and heard about stuff, and so they started calling me Harms. That was one. That was it for a while. So
Harms.
E Harmony. So they started calling me Harms. So that was, I had that nickname for a little
bit. That's really good, actually.
And so we had like playoff
Harms.
T-shirts. We had playoff T-shirts made up, and they had all of our nicknames on it. Like everybody had a nickname on it, but you didn't get to pick what was put on there. Like everyone else got to choose what name went on there for each of the guys. And it was just like a camaraderie thing. So we all had T-shirts and say on the T-shirt, I had
man
on there. Yeah,
Can we name the episode "Cass Gets Catfished"? I think that.
Oh God! Let me write that down.
I was, believe it or not, I was an early adopter of catfishing too. Back when it was just like MySpace.
You were catfishing people?
Yeah, but it was in a fun way. So like this was back when you just had MSN Messenger, like, and you didn't really have texting yet. And so I moved away to Vancouver at 16. So you move away to Vancouver. I think I got a cell phone, but it was like text costs like 15 or 20. Like it was like 15 cents, 20 cents a text. And my parents are like, you're paying for it. So I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford to text. And I don't know where we got the idea, but me and another buddy, because you were just always chatting like on MSN Messenger, we created a fake profile for this girl, made her like this horrible person, like just this absolute horrible person, made like a MySpace, basically, created a catfish profile. But then we would take turns, me and my one other buddy, Nate, who's one of my oldest, best buddies. And we would take turns being online. So it's like, I would be online and he would be as her, or he would be online and I would be on as her, and just created like that I was in this relationship with this person that's just like this awful, awful human, and just convinced everybody back home that I was dating just absolute horrible, horrible human, because we made her absolutely horrible. And we ran it for like 6 months. Like we did this to people like for a long time until we finally had to fess up, because I started really, like, my parents eventually found out and they were like, hey, Maddie, like, what's going on here? We've been starting to hear about this and people are like really concerned, and like you haven't You haven't told us that this girl even exists. Like, what's happening? And so I had to fess up at that point. But yeah, I was early adopter of Catfish and eHarmony. So
Man.
Cass is the original Mantateo.
Yeah, which is a great documentary, by the way.
Reverse though.
The reverse one, yeah.
Reverse Mantateo. That's
Man,
good.
I did not have on the old bingo card for this Monday episode of Two Guys on the Goalie, Cash admits to catfishing early. Like, it just that's wild to me, man. This came from a nickname discussion. Like, what have we got ourselves into? I'm thinking like like I was always just Niels. Most of my buddies just called me Niels. That's kind of how it was. But for a while, the joke was going around that I was conceived in a Trans Am. So my buddies called me Trans Am for a while, which wasn't bad. Some girls I used to live with called me Meatball for about a year. So that was good. The guys on the CFL and TSN crew nicknamed me Badger, but that's developed to be the Honey Dill Badger now. So I'm Honey Dill Badger this season because I love that. God, honey dill out in Manitoba, man. It's just delicious. We got to make that a staple here in Edmonton for like fries and stuff. So yeah, nicknames are, they're fun. They're fun. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, old Harms over there. What an episode. I want to wrap this shit up right now. This has been a great episode. All right, game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, Golden Knight Gager. I will say, I mean, well done here, buddy. Well done. I don't know if you've got like the Gray's Time Almanac from Back to the Future or something here, but is this basically gone exactly as you thought, Gager? And do you think, I mean, it's probably over, but with the way Florida's like imploded late in games where they're losing, I mean, is that a sign of a team that's come unraveled and is beyond repair right now? What do you think?
No, last game I don't think so. They're just messing it up at the end of the game there and whatever, right? It's not even, I think it's more frustration that they lost and the magnitude of what they've put themselves in, the situation that they've put themselves in. But man, it's just the Knights just play at a level that's such a high level right now that it's so difficult for teams to maintain that level over a 7-game series. Yeah, you can match it. That's for a little bit, but it's unsustainable for most teams. They're just too good. It's going exactly how I said it would. I'm getting the recognition that I deserve. It's great. Yeah, I'm looking for bigger and better things coming from my prediction after the Knights close it out tomorrow night. All
right, Cass. So what about the Panthers? Like we didn't mind the Panthers in this thing. What's wrong with our boys? Like, yeah,
you're not getting. I mean, Bobrovsky hasn't won them a game yet. That might be the biggest thing. I thought he might steal one. He hasn't. He's been good. Like, he hasn't been bad, aside from maybe the game he got pulled. But he hasn't sold them a game. I mean, I think they're sunk now. Kachuk's got a broken collarbone. I know everyone was like, "Ooh, shoulder, maybe this." Based on the video and the way and where he was holding and where they were pointing to, he's got a fractured collarbone. That's why he's not playing a lot. You know, you'll see him on the ice, maybe power play or towards the end of the game, but he's toast. He's done. Like, he can't play at a high level anymore. So I think they're finished. But to me is, I mean, Aiden Hill stood his ground, and Bobrovsky hasn't stolen them a game. Like, he hasn't beaten them. Because really, if you look at the first 4 games, if he steals one of those, I mean, it's a 2-2 series and they're still in it. But he hasn't.
How do we summarize this Cup final then? Has it been a disappointment? Has it been an okay Cup final so far? Like, has it been a bad Cup final? Like,
can we do one-word descriptors? Because I think I got a good one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's play a game called One-Word Descriptors of the Cup final.
One-word descriptor of the Cup. Methodical.
Oh.
It's been methodical.
Okay. Gager, what are you going to go with here?
Yeah.
One word, Cass. Shut up.
It won't make sense. I can't really think of. It's.
You got 15 seconds.
Dominance.
That's
what
I'm going to say anticlimactic. You know, after the playoffs that we got through and the run for Florida and everything, I mean, I guess this is what happens to Cinderella, but still, it's a little anticlimactic for me. So we'll see. Now, Vegas will have a chance on Tuesday to win the Stanley Cup in Vegas. We saw what happened to Ovi when the Capitals won. If you guys were on that Vegas squad and you win the Stanley Cup, and I don't know if that, like, I know exactly where I would take that Stanley Cup in Vegas. What would you guys do? Where would you take the Stanley Cup in Vegas? What would you do if you're on that team and you're like, let's go?
I don't have an answer. I've never been to Vegas, so I don't
You've never been to Vegas? Not once?
No.
Oh,
it's not
man.
like, I don't know. It's not like some of it is interesting to me, like the idea and the shows and everything, but it's just not, I don't know, it's not my jam.
Gager, have you been to Vegas?
Yeah.
Where would you take it? What do you think?
I would just be outside on the strip, walking up and down the
Walked
strip.
up and down the strip. That's a pretty boss move with the Stanley Cup up and down the strip,
Yeah.
as opposed.
Yeah.
And I guess you could also have a meter long drink.
Oh my
But,
God.
yeah.
I'd have a preemptive parade just going all the way down that street. It would be unbelievable.
I'd take it straight to the New York piano bar. God, I love that place. That place is amazing. Like regular nights, I can't even imagine it with the Stanley Cup or even a rec league trophy, for goodness sakes. I mean, I'd take anything to that place. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, let's go. Calgary Flames. They've got a new head coach, Cass. Let's say you're Ryan Huska. You become the head coach of the Calgary Flames. What's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you do with that group?
Put Huberdeau in his proper position and leave him there. Like,
play him where he's supposed to play.
Play him where he's supposed to play. Order number one: get him back to the spot where he's comfortable, where he scored over 100 points. I never understood that. I will never understand the reasoning and the justification for Sutter to take him off that wing. Get him back there. That's order number one.
Gager, what would you do if you take over the Calgary Flames?
Oh, can I add something
yeah.
too?
Is it one word or is it more than one word?
No, it's more than one word.
Okay.
It's a sentence. Then give them all hugs and tell them they are valued and you appreciate them and they're important. Affirmation, positive affirmation for the people that are still there.
So do the exact opposite of the last guy.
Yep.
Never a bad idea considering he was fired. Gager, what would you do?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would start developing coach-player relationship that has been non-existent since Sutter was there. I think that's the step in the right direction for these guys. You saw the looks on their faces. I think a coach coming in there and having that rapport with people is key for the Calgary Flames. Because look, they're a good team. Like they almost made the playoffs. They struggled because of probably goaltending. If I was coach, I would talk to Markstrom too. And just say, hey, look, I know things didn't go the way you wanted to, but this is our year to do something special, and just be present for your players. I think it'll be a breath of fresh air for those guys.
Cass, how much do you think it helps? Like, what does this do for the guys in off-season training? It's like it's a fresh start with a guy that is definitely not the last guy. Like, does this motivate individuals more in the off season to come in the best shape? Like, is there a fresh sense of a resurgence, I guess, within that group?
I think there's a fresh sense of excitement, right?
Yeah.
Like you can get excited about it again. You can get excited about going back to camp, excited that it's going to be different, excited that you can maybe have an opportunity. And I don't know, it doesn't necessarily motivate you more or less. Some guys it might, I guess, push you to train harder. I mean, you should always be pushed that way, but I just think it makes you excited. Like you're excited to come back in instead of just kind of dreading it a little bit. And that excitement, that buzz can be big. I mean, it can be really important for a group.
Gage, you said it earlier. I mean, from a player personnel perspective, that roster should be playoff caliber, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
I don't think we're sitting at it. We're not looking at that group going, there's no chance. They don't got the pieces. Like they do have the pieces to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I'd say they're better suited for the playoffs than they are the regular season. And what was that? 14 losses in overtime too over last year, and in shootouts combined for the Flames. So that's right there. They win a few of those, they're in. So it's. Yeah, I think we're going to see a completely different Flames team next year with what they got. What's got him? I'm losing the D-man. Help me out. Had a great World Championships. Uyghur.
Mackenzie Weegar. Yeah, he was awesome in
Yeah,
the Worlds.
he was, man. I do think there is a benefit for certain players that go over and play in that World Championships and have a year that wasn't great and dominate on that stage. You feel really good about yourself, right? So coming into the season, seeing what he did and what he's
Pretty happy with this, right?
Yeah, he's probably going to get another deal. Now, will it be Calgary? Will it be somewhere else? I don't know, but I would lean towards Calgary could probably re-sign him for a pretty fair number, pretty cheaply. But he certainly had a good enough Worlds where he's going to get a deal somewhere. It's just going to be a matter of where he wants to play, and who has a little bit of cap space that wants to pick up some depth. Maybe Edmonton.
Ooh, the drama continues. Bring back Luch and Jesse Puljujärvi and play them on the same line again in the bottom six instead of the top six. That would be great.
After looking at Vegas, though, don't you think that Lucic is a very serviceable fourth line when you get into the play? Like, he's more a guy, like you said, depth that you want on those.
Can he give you 10 good minutes, Gager? Like, is that what you're saying type of thing? Like,
depends who he's playing with.
Yeah.
But I think he could be a part of a really good, solid fourth line. Like, it all depends who his line mates are, but a big, heavy fourth line that can bang around and bash. You'd be crazy not to think about it, I think.
Perfect transition, because I wanted to wrap this episode with some Oilers bottom six discussion. I think it was Gregor had written about it a little bit at Oilers Nation about needing to use the bottom six a little bit more. I know Tommy and I talked about it on the Oil stream. I think on Friday we kind of dove into it. Cass, do you think Jay Woodcroft gets to a spot? Like, can they build? Is it possible for the Oilers to build a bottom six that would convince you to play McDavid and Draisaitl less? You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I think
because that's what it is.
Yeah, it's less during the season. If they can convince you to play them less during the season, playoffs, all bets are off. You play who you need to as much as you need to. But one of the challenges for the Oilers last year was they stunk so badly out of the gate. Like they were out of the playoffs and not playing well. Is like he had to go to his guys and he had to ride them like crazy and play them over and over and over and over again. But over the course of the season, I think that does wear you out. It bangs you up and you're not maybe as fresh heading into the playoffs as you could be. So to me, it's an important part of it. And, we've talked about Holloway, we've talked about some of the other young guys and wanting to actually see what's there. I think we, had an episode where we talked about, they don't necessarily need to change a whole bunch of stuff this summer. They need to see what they have with some of these players. And I think getting to a point where you're able to do that is super important, incredibly important. So yeah, I want to see Woodcroft get to the point. Now, it's always going to be tough when you're losing games or you're down in games to not rely on those top two. But the more that you can get guys involved and a part of it and just bring that extra depth element to what you're doing, I think, look at what Vegas is doing. I mean, they have some top end talent, but they also play their depth players that play a lot and have a role
they do.
and that are involved. And it's like, to me, that's a template. And I've never been a fan of teams that someone wins a cup and then everyone instantly tries to emulate. However, that to me is something that's historically has been there. I mean, you look at whether it's Tampa, that's had a lot of playoff and Stanley Cup success, whether it is Vegas, who looks like they're going to win a cup, whether it's Colorado, they all had depth players that were involved and played and played some minutes on teams, even when you had superstars like McKinnon, like Eichel. So yeah, they got to get there. At the end of the day, they have to get there. Woodcroft has to get to a point and has to get players that he's comfortable playing. And those players have to step up. That's the bottom line, is even regardless of who it is, you have to force the issue. They have to be good enough that he has no choice.
Gager was a talking point kind of right when he took over. Remember Derek Ryan, and it's like they trust guys in different roles more so than the last guy. And I don't think it came up as like a major issue that it didn't happen much this year. But I mean, how good does that bottom six have to be to play Connor McDavid 18 minutes instead of 22,
Yeah. I mean, I think Woodcroft waited as long as he possibly could last year before he had to go and just play the big guys all the time because of the situation they were in. He didn't get consistent minutes from those guys in the bottom six. It got better. It got way better, but that, like you said, Kes, that has to start right away. You got to be in the hunt all the time. You can't fall so far back where you're going, oh my gosh, if we don't start playing well, we might miss the playoffs. That can't happen. They got to get out of the gate quick and maintain for an extended period of time. None of those lulls late November and December like the last few seasons. It has to just be consistent throughout. And then come playoffs, it's a crapshoot, man. You need your stars playing like all stars and your rookies playing like veterans, right? You need superhuman efforts by guys that guys have to play above their play grade or their pay grade when
Aiden Hill style.
Yeah, you need superhuman efforts from guys. Not every game, but more consistently than not, because I know. Yeah, I hate that too with the blueprint thing, Cass, and everyone just emulates the team that won the season prior. But I think the Oilers do have the roster capable of playing consistently throughout all four lines and being a tough team to play against. But it's another 82 games before we find out if that's going to happen.
Man, if you're going to emulate the Golden Knights, every team would have to start their fourth string goalie in the playoffs next year, which I just don't think teams are going to be willing to do. So that's part of the special run here that Vegas has certainly put together. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. No episode on Thursday. I'm going on a golf trip. You guys tell me if this sounds crazy. Where do you guys come out on? And we're there for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're playing 6 rounds in 4 days, including 2 days where it's back-to-back 36s. Are we biting off more than we can chew, boys?
That's more than I'd like. I don't know. I can't do the 2 rounds in a day. Like, give me 1 round, I'm good. Like, if I did a round a day there on a trip like that, I'd be happy. But that's a lot, dude. You're the old lower back and the hips are going to be feeling it.
Well, see, I'm a finely tuned athlete, Cass, so I'm not too worried about that. But don't laugh, you assholes. The back to, like, I don't mind 36. We usually do 36 once on the trip. This year we're hammering it Wednesday 36, Thursday 36. Gager, I think that's what might come back to bite me in the butt here. The back-to-back 36s, by the time we get to Friday afternoons round, I'm just going to be, well, I mean, I'll still be loving it because I'm so physically fit, but it's going to be tough.
It just depends on the hot dog, Dusty.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like,
yeah.
Hey, you might see me on the turn. Who knows?
That's Gager's next thing. Working at shacks across golf courses here. God, I love it. All right, that is episode 314 of Two Guys and a Goalie, and we finally learned 314 episodes in, Cass the catfisher. That's what we learned today. That's the episode. Hey, have a good Father's Day, boys. We'll break down all of our Father's Day celebrations on Monday's episode, all right?
Thanks, guys.
Sweet.
See you guys.